Hello there, folks. Scott Galbraith here, also known as the Great Scott, and welcome to another roundtable. Now, this is a different kind of roundtable. In fact, I would go so far as to say this is my very first accidental roundtable, and I will explain what I mean by that in just a few moments. So far, if you've watched any of my roundtables, I've done 2 director ones and a couple of ones with actors, and I got a suggestion a while back, which I will explain about in just a moment. All of those movies, however, have different crew members and people who work behind the scenes, all of which are important to making sure that a movie, particularly a faith-based movie, happens. And we got some guys here today that have been involved in some productions that I guarantee that you have seen, and some of the biggest, if you want to call it, blockbusters in the Christian movie industry. Let me introduce you to the panel here just real quickly. First up, we have a gentleman who has worked as a grip, a lighting, and a crew member on a lot of films, including Courageous and Fireproof and The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry. He worked on the show 7th Street Theater with Dave Cristiano. Please say hello to Shane McMullin. How you doing, Shane?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we can't see you for some reason. That's unfortunate.
How are you guys?
Doing all right? Oh, there you are.
Yep.
Shane, are you back?
Yeah,
You're back.
it's having a little bit of problems here.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
How's it going?
It's going good. Thank you for joining us here today. Next up, as I said, Shane has worked as a crew member on several films. And of course, once you get all that film shot, you have to put it together. And we have a gentleman here tonight who is probably a very sought after editor in the Christian film world. His credits include Mercy Streets, a film that I really like, Time Changers, Six, The Mark Unleashed, Unidentified, The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry, and he's also an editor at CBS Television. Would you please say hello to Mr. Jeffrey Lee Hollis? How you doing, Jeff?
Good. How you guys doing? Good to be here. Thank you, Scott. I love that.
No problem. And you know what? Whether you shoot stuff, whether you edit it, it all really starts with the script. And we have a gentleman here who arguably is one of the most prolific screenwriters in the Christian film industry. He's got a writing resume longer than my arm. His credits include Hidden Secrets, Sarah's Choice, The Encounter, Paradise Lost, Revelation Road 1 and 2. And he's also an accomplished author. Please say hello to Sean Paul Murphy. How you doing, Sean?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, it's great to have you guys here. And as I said in the introduction to our viewers, this is the very first accidental roundtable. What do I mean by accidental roundtable? Well, let me explain. The gentleman you can see right below me here, Mr. Jeff Hollis, in addition to being a very Brady Bunch style, how you doing? Okay. In addition to being, as I mentioned, a very sought-after editor, he's also got some acting credits to his name, and I believe you do stand-up comedy as well, right, Jeff?
I do. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Bring it.
Well, anyway, I was trying to organize a 4th Actors Roundtable a while back, and I was short an actor, so I contacted him, and being the humble man that he is, he said, I really don't think my acting resume is impressive enough. If I were your producer, that is what I would tell you. So he said, why don't you do something where you get together crew members and just talk about a lot of behind the scenes. So I immediately got my Facebook friend list out, saw who I could find, and I managed to get together you 3 gentlemen. But here's why I call this an accidental roundtable. What I did not know is that all 3 of you have actually worked as film or television editors. So that is why we are calling this the Editors Roundtable. So tonight we have the Editors Roundtable, which was completely by accident. Oh, and one thing I should just do here, just as a quick commercial. Mr. Murphy, I think you are the very first accomplished author to appear on my roundtable. So,
well, thank you. And
if any of you want to, if you want to know where this right here is his book, The Promise, or The Pros and Cons of Talking with God. It's a memoir by Sean Paul Murphy. If our viewers want to get this, where can they get this, Sean?
They can get it on Amazon. The Kindle is now for sale for 99 cents. But they should also look at the possibility of getting my new book, Chapel Street, which is coming out July 3rd. It's available on Kindle, all electronic ebook forms, paperback, and hardcover.
Indeed.
Check it out at Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Thank you.
Nice.
All right, we're back from that commercial.
Was that a plug? Did I get one in?
Yeah, that's very good. Now, one of the things that I always do with first-time guests, but before we get to that, I should say, I told you guys before we started recording, it's great to have you guys here. Shane, not so much you, but I really want to thank Shane, I want to thank you for being, I just put my foot in my mouth. We're only 5 minutes in, darn. Shane, I really want to thank you for being here, but I especially want to thank Sean and Jeff for being here because, let's see, how do I put this? 3 years ago, when I was on the verge of my 40th birthday, without giving away too much information to our viewers, I was going through, shall we say, some issues. And I was in a position where I would basically talk to anybody who would listen, including friends on Facebook. And I think both Sean and Jeff bore the brunt of some of what I was going through, and they were more than happy to give me some advice. And to be honest with you guys, I think a lot of people would not have shown up after everything I put both of you through. So I thank you both for showing up in spite of that. So,
well, it's because you didn't take my advice. You're still in the business.
That's another
I
thing
advise
like.
everyone to leave. Please leave everyone.
Yeah.
More
Well, you know,
Turn
what's
off
funny
the
is
lights.
if you look at the directors roundtable I did just yesterday, there was an article released called saying someone who works in the industry saying everybody's talking about going back to normal, but we don't want to go back to normal because normal was not working. And it goes into all the things about the industry. And they said for the first time the industry has been paused that we can actually ask these questions because nobody's filming anything right now.
Yes.
But anyway, that's a article that I can send you guys if you want to read it at some point. What I'd like to do now is every time I have first-time guests, and this time you guys are all first-time guests, is I like people to tell me how they got into the industry as best they can. Like I said, hopefully in 5 minutes or less, just in their own words. Who would like to go first? Don't all jump
I'll
at
go
once.
first.
Okay.
I'll go first. I know time is limited. I went to college. I was saved in high school, and I just felt like God wanted me to go into film primarily for missions-oriented work. So I went to college for it. Back then, that was kind of the only avenue that I knew of, and from there, I went out on my own, started my own production company at the time. This was like 2003.
Mhm.
And from there, I met some actor friends, and they introduced me to, at the time, Dave Cristiano. And from there, I worked with him on some projects. And I think that's where I interacted with Jeff for the first time, was kind of back then on some of those early projects, 7th Street and Me and You, Us Forever, and Sperry, and some of that stuff going on. And then from there, I met the Kendrick brothers through a bunch of that and worked on 2 of their movies. And, you know, it just sort of progressed from there. And so that's kind of how I got in a real quick nutshell.
Well, that was a very good nutshell. That was another thing that I forgot to mention. Sometimes like the very first actors roundtable I did, none of the actors on that lineup had ever met each other. Have any of you guys met before this little Zoom meeting right now?
I'm
Not in
familiar with
person.
Jeff. We've worked on stuff together, I believe. I don't know if I've ever actually met him. We're Facebook friends, so.
Yeah, we've talked on Facebook. I acted in a film written by Sean, Holy Man Undercover. I have a very small part. And then I edited The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry, which Shane worked on. So, yeah, we're all connected somehow.
Yeah.
Well, you and I are connected in another way, Jeff.
Oh, really?
Uh-oh.
Do tell.
Well, Jeff, in a way, you are one of the reasons I am in the Christian film business as I am now. Because well, first, my background, I went to film school. I was originally a journalism major and eventually shifted to film. And who would have thought that film was going to survive journalism? It looks like journalism is sort of like going down. And film is just maintaining whatever it is. And I got into advertising, and in advertising, I became a producer. So I was a producer, but I eventually, in our large company, I would specialize in the post-production and let the other producers who like to get up early, you know, go out into the field to shoot the stuff. And eventually I was writing and got some great early interest, picked up a very good agent named Stu Robinson, and he was getting me a lot of A-list reads and all, and things were going really well. Then Stu died, and that left me without an agent. He didn't take my career into account at all when he died. So he was a great guy, and I'm here because of him in many ways. And then I ended up making an independent film called 21 Eyes, and I really loved the film. It's probably my favorite film I've written that I enjoyed most watching, and I also edited it as well. I'm a commercial editor. At that time, I was mainly editing commercials because they pay the most. And eventually I shifted, so I did this independent film, and I wasn't happy with the distribution. And I was like, a lot of my, I wouldn't say all of them, but a number of my scripts, particularly the earlier ones that got attention, all had faith themes in them. It's funny because there was no faith genre. People were just looking at them as mainstream movies and evaluating them on that. And I never got any criticism for the faith content in them because it was essential to the story. So, that would never happen now, because now there is a faith genre and people will see like faith in it and they'll say, well, we can't spend more than, $6 million on this, so it's suddenly, because it's a genre, it's more limiting in what you can get out there in mainstream. So I decided I was going to write another faith script I was going to produce myself. I did. It eventually won the Kairos Prize in 2012, one of the winners. But when I wrote the script, I wanted to see what was going on in the faith world. And one film I saw was Six, The Mark Unleashed, edited by Jeff Hollis.
Aha! There we go.
And I decided that was the best of the ones out there at the moment of the independent films. So I looked at it and I decided I was going to write, Bobby Downs, because I found his email address. So I pitched him, if he wanted to read. I didn't really want to sell him anything. I just really wanted to talk to him, because I was going to produce this film myself. And but he said, send me the script. I didn't hear back from him, but I heard back from this guy, Dave White, who I didn't associate with the actor in the movie. So I was also pitching a horror movie at the same time. And all I got from Dave White was, send me your script. And I'm like, I keep meticulous records. I'm like, I didn't send anything to a guy named Dave White. So I don't know what script he wanted. But eventually he read I, John, my script, and he really liked it. What he really liked was that it has a sense of humor. He called me and said that most Christian films, the writers have zero sense of humor. And I said, do you want to buy this? And he goes, no. He goes, at this time he was working with Kevin Downs in a company called Signal Rock, if I'm not mistaken.
Signal Hill Pictures.
Signal Hill, yeah. And he said, he goes, I'm not interested in this script because Kevin and I only want to make films that we can star in, and there's no roles for us in it. So he hired me to write the film that became Hidden Secrets, which became a PureFlix film. And he said he wanted it to be a comedy, and I said, I don't like to write comedy alone. I said, can I bring my friend Tim Radishak in? And he said, sure, as long as we don't have to talk to him. And Tim came in on. He didn't believe he was actually getting a film commission. He's like, how much time do I have to think about it? I said, in a half an hour, and he eventually said yes. And that's all that's happened since then. So Jeff, it was your film.
Wow, that's amazing.
It brought me to Bobby Downs, brought me to Dave. And
incidentally, have you guys seen Bobby Downs? Have you guys seen Kevin Downs' Facebook page lately?
He is suffering from the COVID.
Yeah,
COVID.
A little bit.
Yeah, we got to make sure we keep him in prayer. So Jeff, I think that's a good segue into your background, sir.
Well, I went to film school, and by then I was a professing Christian. I wasn't really going to church and everything. I wanted to make big Hollywood movies. I edited one secular film that never got released. But then I got into this writing, producing, and editing promos, and I was at this interactive television network called Entertainer with an I. I was working with a guy named John Gunn. And he said, there you go. And he said, I'm going to quit, and I'm going to go make a movie called Mercy Streets. And he gave me the script, and I said, can I be in it? And he said, I didn't end up in the movie, but I said, I'm also, I'm a good editor. Can I edit your movie? He's like, we don't have much money. But I ended up being the lead film editor on Mercy Streets. And I'd seen a lot of Christian films when I was a kid, but they were out of favor by then. And so I'm like, wow, Christian movies are still being made. So as I'm editing the film, I'm getting led back towards the Lord, It was like God was using film. He said, I'm going to give you your dream to make films, but it's going to be Christian films. And after that, I got a film called Lay It Down with Kevin and Bobby Downs, and they produced it. And then at the screening of that, this crazy guy comes up to me and he goes, I'm going to do a time travel movie and I want you to edit it. It's called Time Changer. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. A lot of people come up to you in Hollywood and they'll say, you got to do this. You're amazing. And then you never hear from them. But 8 months later, he's like, we shot the time travel movie. Let's make a deal. You got to edit it. I'm like, oh, he was serious. So I edited Time Changer with Rich Cristiano. I ended up editing 4 of his films. Unidentified, The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry, and the latest one is called Play the Flute. Back in there somewhere, I did Six the Mark Unleashed, a film called The Visitation with Kevin and Bobby Downs.
I like The Visitation.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Hey, we got a great cast in there. Martin Donovan, Kelly Lynch, Edward Furlong, Priscilla Barnes. And as I was editing that film, see, I came to Hollywood to be an actor, and I was kind of failing. But on that film, the director said, the next one we're going to shoot is called 3. I want you to be the editor. So I read the book. And anyway, long story short, because we don't have a lot of time, he said, I want you to be in the movie 3. Play this mentally challenged guy. And I'm like, okay. He said, as long as you'll edit it. I said, well, I can't edit it because you're shooting in Poland and I'm about to have a baby. Well, my wife's about to have a baby. And so I said, okay, well, whatever. You can audition if you want. I auditioned and I got the part. And that was the biggest acting role I've ever had in the movie 3. It's THR number 3E. There's 4 movies with the name 3, so you got to look for the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw 7 by mistake.
Right.
I didn't see the Christian movies.
Yeah.
But it was great. That was so fun shooting that with Priscilla Barnes playing my crazy mother and everything. So, and I got little acting parts. In Unidentified, I was big guy on phone.
Yeah.
And then Six the Mark Unleashed, I was bearded marked man and prison PA announcer. In Holy Man Undercover, I was zombie homeless man number 2. So this gives you an idea of how well my acting career has gone and how I said, Scott, it was probably not too impressive to put me on as an actor. But anyway, meantime, I was being led closer to the Lord. I recommitted myself to the Lord because of, film ministry. It ministers to not only the people who watch it, but the people who work on the film get ministered to. So that was great. Yeah. Meanwhile, I had this parallel career going in writing, producing, and editing promos and movie trailers. And I ended up working for a company called Studio City, which is a really big marketing company that led me to NBC for 6 years. And now I've been at CBS for 7 years. Just a few days ago, celebrated my 7th year anniversary. Those jobs that's where I get the money. Right. When you're working on a Christian film, you don't get a lot of money.
Right.
But when we take these films to churches and we show them and we have an altar call and 25 people come up and make decisions for the Lord, you go, that's like $1 billion paycheck right there. Mm-hmm. And so that's where my heart is. I don't get to do as many as I'd like to. I'm forgetting a few, and I've made a lot of trailers for Christian films. The first one I ever did was The Moment After for David White. He and I worked on that. And it's been great. I look forward to doing more Christian films. I have a screenplay that's 166 pages long. You all know that's way too long. So we're trying.
I was about to say, sounds like 2. Yeah.
We're trying to get it down. Maybe we should make it a series, but yeah. And
series are becoming more popular. I mean, look at Vindication.
That's true. They are. Yeah. And 7th Street Theater, which Shane worked on, is a great Christian series.
Yes, indeed.
So, So I have these 2 parallel careers that I've been working on. So yeah.
Well, Jeff, firsthand that that movie you edited, Mercy Streets, changed the course of my life.
Yes.
And the thing is, it changed the course of my life in such a way that I can actually tell this story real quickly. I've gotten a lot better at this. Saw the movie, wanted to make it into a play, got permission to make it into a play because Dave White and John Gunn thought I would never actually do it.
Yeah. I remember that.
Because the story was about twins, you can't do split screen like they did in the movie in theater. So I had to find 2 real twins. Those 2 real twins and I got along real well. I decided to write a movie for us to do. That led us to Sean Justice, which led to Reconciler being made. So the twins that were in Reconciler were the twins that did the Mercy Street stage play. And I remember when John Gunn comes to me and says, this crazy guy wants to make Mercy Street into a stage play. I'm like, well, that's crazy. Wow. What are the... And I'm like, we got to fly out there and see it. But we didn't have we had no money. We couldn't afford plane tickets. But I remember when he came to me and told me about you for the first time. It's like, well, I hope he does it. It's great. Yeah. Oh, the best compliment I ever got from John Gunn. After I had one of the conditions was Dave White and John Gunn had to approve the changes that I made because you have to make changes when you do an adaptation like that. I send the script and I get an email from John Gunn with his cell phone number, and he's like, I want to talk to you, and I think I'm in trouble. So I call him up. And one of the things I changed in the script was in the movie, Dave White, he's playing the bad twin, John. And he goes to his brother's house and he's looking for money. He's opened up all the drawers. Finally, he finds 2 candlesticks. And his roommate, the guy's roommate, is coming home, who's a cop, and he thinks he's busted. So he breaks the window and jumps out. It's a very funny scene, but when you're doing a church play, you don't have the budget to break a window every night. Okay, so I had to come up with something else. Well, earlier in the story, he's proposing to his girlfriend, so I'm like, I'll just have him find the ring. When I called John Gunn up, thinking that I'm in trouble and he's about to kibosh the whole thing, first words out of his mouth are, it never dawned on me there was a diamond ring there for him to steal. That was like the ultimate compliment for John. Oh, incidentally, John Gunn, he's a great guy. I tried to get him on the directors roundtable, but he's apparently so busy right now he couldn't do it, which I understand.
He's very busy right now. Yeah.
Yes, he's becoming. I mean, he do what was the most recent film? Didn't he do what's the Lee Strobel story? Darn, I'm blanking on it.
The Case for Christ.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he directed that. So
and he
I thought was
wrote,
nice.
I Still Believe. I think he wrote that one, and he wrote the Kurt Warner story that they're working on now.
Yeah.
He's got a big deal with Lionsgate, like a 10-picture deal. Yeah.
That explains why he couldn't be on a round table.
You know
Hey Shane, how you doing? I feel like we're doing a lot of the talking here. We're kind of leaving you out.
Oh, I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good. I'm just listening.
Okay. Well,
Hearing all the stories.
I haven't forgotten about it. Well, one of the things that I do on these roundtables right here is I jokingly call this a cue from Whose Line Is It Anyway? This is my friend Ben's top hat, which he's been letting me borrow because I've gotten a couple requests for a magician who wear a top hat, and I have a 24.5-inch head, and this is literally one of the only top hats I've ever found that fits my stinking head. And I did this thing on the very first Actors Roundtable that I did, and it went so well I just do it on them all now. I think of as many questions as I can possibly ask, and I put them in this hat, and then I just shake it up, and I pull a question out at random, and then we go around the virtual roundtable. And now if you don't want to answer the question, you can pass, okay? Now, because I was originally going to be doing this for, like I said, different crew members, I was like, how do I do the hat on this? But the minute I found out you guys were all editors, I thought, okay, so all these questions pertain to film editing, okay?
All right.
All right, so it was the only way I could come up with it. You could all answer them. So.
All right. Go for it.
All right, first one. Here we go. All right.
Do we have a buzzer?
What?
A
No,
buzzer?
A buzzer if you want to go first. Okay. The most famous actor's performance you've ever edited.
Me?
Any of you. This is.
I would say just because he recently died, he's not the most famous, but we did in Holy Man Undercover. We had Fred Willard, and he was probably the close to, I'll say, the favorite actor that I had work with us. He was really brilliant, and he was very nice, very personable. And of all the sets I've been on, all the actors, he's the only one that as soon as he got on set and he still had the tissue paper in his collar and everything, he walks on set and says, "Are the writers here? Are the writers here?" And Tim and I were sitting on some stairs in the next room, and we came rushing in. We didn't know what was wrong. We assumed he wanted to change something. And he goes, "I just wanted to thank you. This is a great script. I really love it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I was very disappointed because he's a great ad-libber. He's known for his ad-libs, but he read the script straight. So I don't know whether to be complimented or insulted. I really wanted some Fred Willard zaniness. I mean, he gave it, but I wanted it more personal Fred Willard zaniness.
That's funny because when David White became a friend of mine, and he called me up one day. He's like, "Can you be like a crazy homeless guy in my movie, Holy Man Undercover?" So I went out there and I just run after him and I say, I have one line in the movie. You can't even recognize me because I'm like a homeless guy. And he's like, there was no pay, but he threw me $50 that day. And I think it's going to be some little film. And the trailer comes out and my first reaction was, I'm in a Fred Willard movie.
Yeah.
That was my first reaction. And I'm like, oh, John Schneider, all these people, Edie McClurg, Clint Howard. Wow. I later edited a Clint Howard film. That's funny. But I had no idea what movie I was in. I just did a favor for David.
I'll tell you what, though, Clint Howard, he was funny in the movie, but he was funnier in the takes. I hate to say that David cut out a lot of his funny stuff. Clint was hilarious. I don't know whether it's because he was stealing the scene or something, But Clint was
Could be.
much funnier in the takes than he was in the movie. The movie, by the way, is terrible because it's a Christian comedy. And so they cut out like literally all the humor out of it.
I saw the first cut of it though. It was funnier, but it was kind of raunchy. There's some raunchy lines in there.
Did you see David's one-man show?
I did.
That was all drugs and sex.
Yes. I edited an intro video that he played before his one-man show, by the way. Yeah, that's what.
So the Holy Man Undercover one.
Raunchy.
No, but
I missed the one chance to see his one-man show that I had. There used to be something here in Boston called the Merrimack Christian Film Festival. My goodness, we are at our 10-minute warning already. Okay. So I was at the Merrimack Christian Film Festival, which sadly doesn't exist anymore. And him and Kevin were here promoting. I forget which movie they were promoting. I think it was Hidden Secrets, but it was the same year that we were doing the Mercy Streets play. So we'd taken the entire cast up to see him, and he asked if we were gonna stay for his one-man show. I wanted to. The problem was that they did the Merrimack Christian Film Festival during Holy Week, and that's when my church does our Easter cantata, which I always get cast as one of the main parts in. And unfortunately, his show was on the same night as one of our performances, so that was my only chance to see his show, and I couldn't see it. Anyway, so Shane, what'd you say?
Yeah,
it was a good show, but I was like, oh, this is a little edgy for a Christian audience.
Yeah, Dave, I'm surprised he ever played it. It was so edgy.
Yeah. So back to the hat question for Jeff and Shane. Shane, you haven't said anything in a while. We'll ask you first.
Yeah, famous people.
Who's the most famous person you edited the performance of?
Probably Alex Kendrick. When he appeared on 7th Street Theater.
Oh yeah, I saw that episode.
I've worked with.
Merrimack Christian Film Festival showed that episode.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, I've worked with other actors, like more on set work type thing, but as far as performance editing, and I've got some other stuff, but it's not out yet, so I can't talk about it.
Oh yeah, I know all about that. I've only been involved in 3 motion pictures, but I know all about gag orders. You have to give somebody like me a gag order.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell people the difference between every other long-winded, annoying chatterbox in the world is me is the fact that I'm a self-aware one.
Nice.
So, anyway, Jeff, what about you, sir?
Well, in my secular career, I've edited, probably the most famous person I've edited would be Donald Trump.
Oh,
I used to work on the Celebrity Apprentice. I was the main guy promoting that show. Every year I would give him lines, and we would do a shoot with him, and he would say my lines, and I would edit him into the promos. And all the stars that worked on that show, Joan Rivers and Dennis Rodman. In terms of Christian films, Gavin MacLeod was a big star when I was a kid, so I really like that. Hal Linden from Barney Miller, Jennifer O'Neill, Eric Roberts is an Academy Award nominated actor, so that was I've edited 2 of his films, so I guess those off the top of my head, those biggies.
Yeah. How sad is it wasn't until after Mercy Streets that I found out that Eric Roberts was Julia's brother.
Nice.
Some movie aficionado I am. What were you going to say, Sean?
I said I used to work for Trump's advertising agency. I used to edit a lot of boxing promotional films for it.
Cool.
That was back during the casino days. So.
All right, we're down to 7 minutes here.
We always laughed, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got 7 minutes left here. That's more than enough time for at least one more of these. So let's see what else we have here. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, this might be kind of a loaded question, but what is the biggest challenge in editing a film?
Well, when you're editing a feature film, you have a mountain of footage, and you just look at it and you go, 112 scenes, and it can be overwhelming. That's why you just got to go one scene at a time, and the boredom of re-editing can be a challenge. And when people say, "Hey, can I come watch you in the editing room?" I said, "You don't want to, because it's like watching paint dry." And one time one of the financiers of Unidentified came to the editing room, and he lasted about 10 minutes. He said, "Oh, I see what you mean. This is boring."
Sean, Shane, either of you got something to say about that?
Yeah, I just the old saying, that you write it, you direct it, and then you edit it, so you end up with 3 different stories, basically coming out.
Right.
So it's really where a film is really made in the edit a lot of times. and it just
That's
takes
true.
a lot of work, a lot of time invested in it, a lot of monotony, like Jeff said. And my wife and kids, sometimes I would edit at the house, and they would listen to it over and over, and they're like, "So, how long are you gonna work today before you go take a break?"
Yeah. Hearing
Well,
the same lines coming from the room. Over.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
for me, the problem of editing is the amount of footage people shoot now. I mean, I
Oh
suppose
yeah.
it's good, but it kills us though. Literally, the first features I edited were shot on film, and they had like a 4-to-1 shooting ratio. So you say 90-minute film, you're only talking 6 hours of footage. There was a scene in the Christian film Marriage Retreat, which I co-wrote and then later edited. There was one scene where they had 3 cameras rolling, where the couples meet the marriage counselor for the first time. They had 3 cameras rolling. There was literally more footage for that one scene than there was for either for the entire first 2 films, separately.
Yeah.
And so that's going to wear you down. And I hate to say, Christian films don't pay. Maybe.
And
I lost,
you don't need to buy tapes anymore. And the tapes are expensive. You just have computer files now, and so all you need is hard drives, and they're pretty cheap.
Format the card and stick it back in and start shooting again. Yeah.
back
It's
then,
the digital organization is a big part of the current workflow that you really got to stay on top of.
Yes, absolutely.
The tools are coming out. They're truly amazing. The technology we're working with today, but yeah, like Sean said, you end up getting handed a mountain of stuff. Here, go make something out of this.
Yeah, but at the end of a film, when it's all done and locked and it's very satisfying. Whereas when we're working on a 30-second promo at maybe a day or two and it's over, it's fun, but it's not as satisfying as when you have a film and there's the DVD. It's just great.
Well, I tell you, I've been working mainly on TV now, and I work for Discovery reality shows mostly, and it's really their data management. I mean, we're a massive company. We have tons of networks. When you think of the vast amount of data that goes through there, their data management is mind-boggling. What they're, I think we're on the cutting edge of some technology. And I worked for another network, and it was so frustrating because as a freelancer, you can work 1 year on, 3 months off. Legally, that's the way it's supposed to do. And occasionally, what you do is you work 1 year here, you work 1 year there, but at different places. But other companies did not have that same media management, and it's so frustrating. Discovery just does it so well. It's a great company to work for. It's it's complete. They're completely ethical. I've never had a problem. They've always done everything they've done. I can't say that always about Christian film people I've worked with, but I will say that Discovery. Oh, Jeff knows. He's laughing. So no,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That'll be a different roundtable.
Yeah.
I'm laughing. You want to know why I'm laughing? Don't get me started on the story on why Reconciler is so hard to find.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about ethics, there's a story I could tell you there, but I won't.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are actually under 2 minutes here, and what I have learned from my past roundtables is when you're under 2 minutes, don't try to pull out another question because you end up going right up until the last minute, and then I have to tell the third person, wrap this up because we're about to get cut off. So with the 2 minutes we have left, what I will just say is, I did a little commercial here for Sean at the beginning.
Thank you.
All right, Shane, you said that you got some projects coming up, but you can't talk about any of them right now. There's nothing that you can tell us to look out for?
I can. I have a pilot for a new documentary series that we're currently in post work on. It's called Go, and I have a feature that is currently in post called Everything Happens at Once. That's coming out, and it is a dramedy, so it's a faith-oriented drama comedy. So.
Faith and comedy, dangerous mix.
Speaking of comedy, Jeff, for people who are in your area, you're out on the West Coast. I'm guessing that it just dawned on me that kind of the stand-up routine is kind of probably at a hold right now. Am I right?
Yeah, so totally on hold right now.
Yeah. If you were in the area, I'd tell you to go to a place called Giggles Comedy here in Boston. They turned their parking lot into a eat outside tent venue, and the comics perform there.
Oh.
Nice.
Anyway, we're down to under a minute now, so I'll just say thank you to all of my guests here, Sean Murphy, Shane McMullin, Jeff Hollis. Thank you all for taking some time, and thank you all for watching. Good night and God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Good to see
Scott.
you.
Thank you very
Good
much.
night.
It's nice meeting you, Stan.
Good to meet you guys.
Okay.
See you.
Take care.
See you, Jeff. Thanks for bringing me into this, Jeff.
I had no idea. Great. Praise the Lord.